with each other without words. And now, as you are ready, I invite you to bring yourself back to this space. Open your eyes. And now, when you're ready, if you would like to unmute yourself and share any experience that you want to, that would be wonderful. It's also wonderful and feel totally accepted if you wish not to share. So if you would all unmute now.
It's okay. Huh? I know, so why aren't you doing that?
I think someone spoke, but I'm turning up my volume now. If you could speak again.
I would say that I did a lot better this time, Phyllis, than last week. It's Beth. I was really distracted with all the outside noise, but I practiced this week, not as much as the homework said, but I did practice. I don't want to share too much information, but I had an assignment from the therapist to do Kegels more too. So I had to do those and this. So anyway, I felt like I did a lot better, and I really liked the directed visualization that you gave us.
Mhm.
Thank
Good,
you.
good. And I think to try to make it part of your everyday life is very helpful. It's it becomes easier and over time it takes less time to get in the state of feeling or to achieve that state. It becomes more accessible.
Phyllis
Yes.
and team, I guessing that many of you are familiar with Amazon Alexa, and that you can ask it to do a lot of different white sounds. And one of them is ocean waves. And I sometimes at night, when I go to bed, I'll ask for it to play ocean waves. So I certainly relate to being at the ocean and the effect of the waves and the feel of the sand. And for you folks in Denver, where the ocean isn't quite as accessible, you might just try Alexa's ocean waves and experience it there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Phyllis, when I started the meditation, I had this long list of people that I needed to call back, who I knew had called me throughout the day, clients, and were needing a call back soon. And I was feeling very stressed and not very present. At the end of the meditation, my mind felt clear and calm. And right now, I can't even think who's on the list to call back.
It's a wonderful, wonderful, real story. Yeah. Thank you for that. Sophie, did you want to speak? I thought your square, around your face, it went up. Did you want to speak?
Hi, I think it might just be picking up the wind because I'm sitting outside because the weather's very nice in Boulder where I live. But I will say I wasn't on last week, but I've my own self have tried to start meditating in the past few weeks a bit more, and kind of what other people are sharing as well. It's pretty difficult to get into, but the more that you do it and the less stress you put on achieving that silence, I think it helps quite a bit. And that was something I noticed in the practice we just did. I felt like I was actually able to calm down and just be in silence in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do, like a month ago or something. So I really enjoyed that.
Mhm. Good, good. We certainly have challenges that we're very much in the midst of too, right now.
Phyllis,
Hi, Joe.
howdy. Two things. First off is a little true confession. I dozed a moment. It was so relaxing.
More than a moment.
Hey, but I liked, my mind really took off when you said visualize where all the places your feet have traveled. And boy, my mind just went racing with lots of really neat thoughts or visions or memories. So
Mhm.
that was a neat phrase or neat thing to ask.
When I've done that, sometimes what happens to me is I get kind of, sort of attached then as I think about where my feet have been, attached to the whole experience of that. And so it's another discipline then to move on. Yeah, good. And I'm not at all offended that you dozed off. I know you well enough that is a sign of deep relaxation.
Thank you.
Becky, did you want to speak? Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to thank you. That was really, really powerful and really good. And I'm sitting in a car outside of high school where the wind is just whipping, and it was just a perfect little pod to be in for that exercise. So thank you. And I'm with Joe. That was the part that I like. I didn't sleep, but I liked thinking about my feet. That was really powerful. And my mind just raced with lots of happy memories. So thank you for all of that.
Yes, good, wonderful. Anyone else? Oh, hi, Dick. Welcome. Welcome. Let's just talk together a little bit more now about related ideas and thoughts you have. Again, as you wish to speak, or if you don't, that's fine. But I would invite you to speak openly about what is the purpose? I'm not sure why we're getting an echo again.
That mute there, and we don't have it.
Okay. What are some of your thoughts about for what purpose does hope serve? For what purpose does meditation or contemplation begin or offer to you? Those are really two questions. So.
I think that it offers me a way to calm down.
I think that sometimes we have a lot of noise in our minds, and this is a chance to focus on just moving all of that out. And I find that doing, like in the visualization, what you did, like focusing on different parts of your body for a moment, and you can almost feel them tingle, and it just allows your whole body to become part of what you experience, part of that relaxation, part of that meditation.
Mhm. Yes.
I guess I focus on the idea of hope.
Yes.
If I don't have hope, then I'm really in a very dark place. And I think I would have been, just to take what's happened in the last almost 4 years, I would have been totally overwhelmed. And particularly this last year.
Mhm.
And hope and a degree of optimism and pausing and doing maybe going to places like a behind my head has gotten me through this.
And for those of us who might not be able to visualize real clearly what's behind you, Dick, what is behind you?
I have a photograph that I took of the Torres del Paine in Patagonia in Chile.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yes.
I was down there with, I think Stuart and Kat Haskins were on that trip.
Mhm.
When you talk about hope, this is Jane speaking.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, guys. It just, I don't want to talk about politics, but when I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger's talk about his life and about things in his life, but he so strongly about hope for the future. And as you all have said, some of you have said, if we don't have hope for change, for love, for acceptance, for whatever, we are in a dark place. But he was so articulate and focusing on hope. And I think this is a good word for all of us to carry forward.
Yes. Hope has also been associated with the feeling of fulfillment of joy, of intimacy, of being held, of satisfaction, consummation, sexual experiences. And some would go as far to say, and I think I'm among them, is there really life if there is not hope? Is there really life if there is not hope? Some of us have been present or very involved with individuals who may not feel that they really want to continue living the life that they are living, which takes us a direction that we will not go today, except, as you all know, it's no secret that challenges with mental health and illness and increased suicide is now in our midst. And it's true with children, it's true with people that are older, much older, and that is some people, I think human beings probably, if they are ill or traumatized, they need to believe that there is a life worth recovering for. So some of that is, a lot of that is very mystical. And I want to share a couple more ideas and then again invite your very rich responses and comments this day. And that is the source of hope. Some believe that a sense of unitive or belonging, unitive hope, unitive love is something that human beings seek. And the primary idea I'd like to share now is the people that have worked pretty hard to understand the differences again between positive thinking and having a sacred portal such as this or others to access or be in the presence of hope ultimate love, ultimate inclusion. The primary difference that it requires, which is very deep and it is not easy, is to move from shifting, from believing and investment in how we can make something happen, to simply resting totally naked before our God, going naked after you take off your clothes, losing oneself in something larger than self. It's very difficult. It can be sometimes riddled with anxiety, but I would propose that it is a line of thinking that truly can deliver us. It can deliver us through times like we are living now. Other parts of our world experience unpredictability as a regular part of every day when they wake up. It's like a current. It's like a current that can move through us and sustain us and hold us. So yes, Nancy.
Well, that leads me to something that I think about when I'm meditating, which I do regularly. And both the meditations this week and last week talked about, there was that visualization of whatever your word was, peace, flowing through you, and then giving that out into the world. And today, when you talked about, imagine all the places your feet have been on this earth, how connected we are to the whole thing. And for me, it's on, there's subatomic particles, WIMPs and neutrinos that pass through us, this dark matter that is passing through us all the time, as if we are the ghosts and those are the real things. And so I visualize when I'm meditating that whatever it is I'm thinking about, peace or gratitude or hope, is passing through me, it's flowing through me and out with all those particles that are passing through everyone on the planet and the planet itself. And I think it may not do anything, but for me to visualize that connection with everyone else is pretty important for me.
It's critical. I think it's critical. And in support of what you just said, I want to say, I really think it means the world. You mentioned you're not sure if it means very much. At this point in time, I truly feel it means the world, truly. The primary reason I went ahead with trying to see if all of you would give me permission to have this session recorded, and now it appears it probably isn't, which is okay. But anyway, the primary reason was that a very close friend and colleague of ours, Wynn Willett, whom some of you know, is in Haiti right now. And we've known and worked with him for 10 years. And he's the one that actually asked if we might record it. And he called me this afternoon. Didn't say anything about how he is or his situation. He just said he was so excited to know that this group is coming together and what the topic is. So thank you, Nancy. And Nancy, would you share a little bit of your professional work background, and just, I'm interested if what you shared now, if that influenced what you did as air traffic controller?
No, I would say no. When you're in that, you're just dealing with airplanes, and you can't think about the people on the airplanes. But as a way to relax after you get out of a situation that is so high stress, these sort of exercises are important. They're hugely important because you have to be able to shut that off.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Anyone else want to respond to anything we've said?
I could just say, and I don't want to monopolize conversation, but what Nancy said, I totally agree with, but I do believe in my own body that sometimes that gets stuck. And, I worked almost all my life as a nurse. And so these were techniques I learned myself a long time ago. But, then you get in that flow of practicing and not practicing. And then life happens, all kinds of, what. And then it gets stuck. And I think the reminder that Nancy was talking about is that we have to go back to the practice so we can get unstuck. And some days or weeks or times it's hard. And I just think that's important for everybody to know, but sticking to the practice, which brings me to another piece, is that I was just thinking how much I like this so far for 2 weeks, that I'm going to want it for more than 4 weeks. That's all I have to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Many of us are feeling that.
It is helpful to have people to talk about it with, who are doing the same thing. And it's helpful when you do get when you do get stuck, because there have been times in my life when I was so good at it, I could inhale and exhale and I would just feel there. And then, like you said, all the stuff that happens every day, it gets in the way of that. And you have to really, it's work, it's hard work to do it. And the first practice of this last week, because I was so much in turmoil because of what had happened, I actually did the first one walking because, well, Thich Nhat Hanh does walking meditation a lot, but I don't think that he walks at the pace that I was walking that day because I was so frustrated and overwrought. But then to use the meditation that I used for walking and then to go into what Anne had done for us last week was very helpful. And then later, the next day I could do it in my house calmly. And we do, it's like this, you're not always in the perfect place and you just have to keep practicing.
I think, Nancy, you and Beth and others have spoken very well to what I said at the very last of Anne's presentation last week, that this and next week we will focus on the importance of when we meditate, when we do contemplation, when we are in prayer. It's really, really important to take our body with us, because this is truly, at this point, this is where we live. We are living within this temple body, and it can speak to us, but we also can have some influence over it. Kwame, do you have anything you are wanting to say?
I would begin by saying that thank you for such a wonderful second session today. When Sophie was talking about finding a quiet time to meditate, I could relate a lot with her experience, that once the day starts, it's almost impossible. And so after last week's session, I realized that before my day starts is probably the best instead of at the end of the day. And so when I wake up between 5 and 6 a.m., when, everything is calm, the birds are still flying in the skies, that is when I find my most optimal time to connect with myself, introspect and reflect and meditate on the word of God. And I have seen it to make a lot of changes. So right now, when I wake up, I don't rush to get out of bed and be rushing to start the day. I just take a moment, take a step back, reflect and look at myself inward. And I can't say enough how much of a difference it makes in my day, beginning with that state of calmness and knowing that no matter what happens in the lab or in school, you've already conquered it on your knees in prayers and with careful meditation to begin your day. So So that my experience over the past one week, and I am so grateful that we get to do it today as well. So yeah, that's a bit for me.
Thank you, Kwame. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I find the same. If I can do it early in the morning before other things crowd my awareness, it sort of frames the day rather than making sure that I do it at some time. And Anne, thank you. It's great to see you back. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Are you muted, Anne?
There I go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My apologies to everyone. My internet is having terrible problems. I can't see anyone right now.
Oh.
But it is being recorded. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anne, did you hear some of the last 45 or 50 minutes? Is there anything you'd like, no pressure, but is there anything you'd like to respond to or speak to?
You know what? I've been on the phone with Lisa Medina,
Oh.
and unfortunately I've heard the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
So, my apologies for my absence.
That's fine. That's fine. I have just a few more things to share, very few. And then I thought we would do a very short spiritual practice before we end. Actually, I think what I had planned to say is best left for next week because it's about 10 till and I'm trying very hard to keep my promise about making it 1 hour, knowing that you all have other things you need to be doing, need to do, want to do. So,
Phyllis, Becky has her hand up.
oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at my notes. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. That's all right. I was just going to add, and I hope you can hear me okay. My daughter's driving, so
I can hear you. Go ahead, Becky. Except now I can't.
safe and I'm not behind the wheel. I just wanted to share. Great. Okay. I just wanted to share that reading former Congressman Way this summer. And it's sort of, if you haven't read it, it's short, but I started reading it in the time frame that we're in, just before everything that's happened at the Capitol, and I'm finishing it up now. So the timing is very much divine to read something so inspiring. But his life was so much harder than what we've learned in the media and anything. I knew he had been imprisoned and I knew he'd been beaten and all sorts of things, but I didn't realize how many times or to the depth. And it's terrifying, but he's been asked many times what kept him going. And he talks about faith and hope a lot. And his ideas are a little bit interchangeable. He talks a lot about his faith running so deep that it's a belief in something more or better or hope out there. But at any rate, I just wanted to toss that out there because it's been a blessing to be reading it during this really challenging time in the world. And I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Becky, later, if you want to text me that when I do my outline for everyone and send it out, I will include that. I think it's important.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So now, if you will, I invite you again to close your eyes, get in a quiet place, sit, lie down, stretch. This will be familiar to some of you. And I'll just take about 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll move into our closing. So take 2 or 3 deep breaths without counting, without measuring. Trust this body and this heart and this lungs that will do it without our conscious control at all. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Amen. If you want to unmute yourself and say or share anything at all, we have just a short time. Anne, are you still with us?
I am still with you. I don't know whether you can see me or hear me.
I can. We can hear you.
Okay. Well, let me give the blessing as we leave. And
Yeah.
thank you all for being with us. And if I disappear during the blessing, I haven't been sent up in rapture. My internet has gotten me. This is what is often popularly known as St. Patrick's Prayer. Question whether it's really in St. Patrick, but it's a beautiful prayer and actually a beautiful meditation in itself. And we'll send it out with our weekly email. It refers to Christ, but think of your peace word, think of anything that connects you with peace, with the sacred, with the ground of life. And take a deep breath and please be with me. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger. A friend and stranger. And may God be with all and each of you where
Thank you, Anne. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
Okay. I think we will call this to an end for now. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been very special and very precious. May you have a good week And we look forward to seeing you next week. And Ann and I will stay on board, available to you for a few minutes. Good night.
Good
night.
night.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here.
Good night. Thank you, Phyllis. That was beautiful. Did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
honey,
you.
for making.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Sophie.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good to see everybody.
Person. Phyllis,
Yes.
I like being right next to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was great. Good to see you and hear your voices. You and Jim.
So this is maybe a question as well for Anne, because she presented last week, and it's related to the meditation that we did last week and the example that you gave us. And I just wanted to confirm that what we're meditating for is, it says, what you are in need of.
Yes, yes. What I have found is that at different times, and I do meditate first thing in the morning, is my own heart will tell me if I am mindful of where I am emotionally. My own heart will tell me what I need. And it could be anything from peace to strength to quiet to empowered love to steadfast love. And for me, God, the ground of being, gives all of that to us. And the particular facet or face that we need to meet and that we need to be filled with can vary from day to day. And it helps me certainly to be in tune with that. And
Oops. Anne, you still with us, dear?
Well, I hopefully she'll come back. I will share that I have actually meditated more in the middle of the day. I feel that I can focus more then. And yesterday, I was thinking, what is it that I feel that I need? And I recognize that I had not been laughing. And because I mean, there has not been much to laugh about. And Joe and I don't have any, except for some of the great jokes, political jokes that come by, but to literally laugh from the gut. And we had someone over last night, physically distanced, but the conversations got light, and we found ourselves just doing the kind of laughter that just releases your negative feelings, your bad thoughts. And so I want to say that my meditation, hoping for laughter, worked.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You know, Pam, I had a colleague once who took a course in laughter therapy. There is such a thing. And she taught it at a workshop. And I ran around with a lot of nurses during my life. And we too needed relief and laughter because, you know, things could get tough. And so there's probably YouTube videos on this, Pam, but she would teach us to do things like from the belly, he, and then she'd
Yeah.
hear the whole group bring that back to her, and ho, 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 ho. And it was really, it really did work. So I find too, I agree with you that I'm often out of laughter, and I have to call a friend and find something that we can talk about that isn't about what happened in Washington and, you know, what's going on in our world. It is tough right now. And
Well,
sometimes
it's interesting. Do you go by Liz or Lisbeth?
I go by Beth.
Beth. Okay, Beth, that the top three of us across the top are all nurses.
Yeah, and Anne may as well be one too, all the sacred care she's given.
I'm sure.
And so are most of my friends, I hate to tell you. You know, I did have a question, and I'm glad you came back on, but I'm sure Phyllis could have answered it. So when you realize there's something that you need for the day, like light or peace or love or laughter, whatever it is, then do you find after you've been meditating for a while that you consciously can somehow hold on to that and that it does move through you and in your life? We can't hear you, dear.
Repeat that, please.
Say it again.
Yeah.
When you meditate, do
Yes,
you
please.
find for light or love or peace, whatever
Sorry.
for the day, that you find that you can then consciously or unconsciously hold on to that, and it really does eventually get that positive piece going for you?
It's actually two different things. And it's two different ways of saying yes. One is, yes, absolutely. I've really been doing this off and on for years, but really seriously over the last 15 months. And
Oops.
con-
Oh,
Her signal's really not very good, I guess.
We're having trouble again, Anne.
no.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Ann. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Let's
What do you
see.
think about that, Phyllis?
I've experienced absolutely, the answer is unequivocally yes. And I think I think the other thing, I mean, I'm so happy for Pam that she got a response so fast.
Yes.
I mean, whoa, Pam, I guess you got a direct channel there, you know.
Hey, Phyllis, it's all who you know.
Oh, right. So is it because Joe's next to you? Because he could be pretty
That's
good.
right.
So anyway, I think that's possible. It happens. I also think my experience is sometimes I am needing to learn how to be more patient. The answer for what I need may not come when I'm through with my prayer. It may not come tonight. It may not come tomorrow. But I think as I've prepared to partner with Anne in this course, one thing I've learned is whether it's neurophysiology, spiritual, or emotional, I truly do believe that rather than pushing things away or out of my consciousness or awareness, to focus on the antithesis, I'm trying to make more room in my heart and my consciousness for the divine. And it's powerful stuff. And in time, then it just simply, rather than, I love to make lists, and I'm gradually moving from my habit of checking things off. I'm trying not to do that anymore. Trying to make more and more space in my heart and in my mind and in my spirit for the divine to have an increasingly powerful place in my life, which
I
is
do think-
hard. I wish Becky were still on, but we talk often. But anyway,
I do think yesterday when I didn't have patience for something, that one of my daughters grabbed onto patience and took over. And I think that was the answer for me, is that it wasn't going to be for me that day, but someone else could support me. I'll tell you that we were in the midst of, my grandchildren go to a learning pod that my daughter, who's a public school assistant principal, developed when she decided they shouldn't go back because of the virus. And so they have 6 children in a pod, and then they've hired a teacher. And one of the children was diagnosed with COVID over the weekend after a test. And then Wyatt had a test, my grandson, on Monday, and it came back yesterday, and he's positive for COVID. So yesterday, in trying to, I'm a nurse. I'm trying to convince my daughter now that she had 2 cases in that pod, that she should close it up for 10 to 14 days. I was becoming very impatient with her, and I didn't want to be that way. And so I called my other daughter who works in healthcare, and she kind of took it, and she was way more patient, but she got my daughter to listen, and did make her own decision, and they closed the pod, and she talked to the health department. So I believe you, Phyllis, that you can't just push things away, that you have to let that spirit help you with it and figure out what you're going to do. And I struggle with that same thing sometimes, and many other things.